What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Wave. As you know, Game Threes will be commencing at the end of Saturday. Um, I'll let you guys in on a little secret. As of the time of recording this segment, there's only one last game, and that is the Warriors Rockets game. So I thought, why not just go ahead and get started covering the Game Threes while they're underway. I went ahead and took a look at the Miami Cleveland series for their Game Three. That's over now, and in the meantime, I'm just gonna get this video ready. So why not? So why not get started with the first Game Three that we did have, and that was between the New York Knicks and the Detroit Pistons. This has been a very grueling series. A lot of It's been very physical. These two teams have been battling each other, and we've seen these games have been very close. So you could see like the Knicks had a dominant first game where they won by 11, but then the last game the Pistons came back and snuck it out by 6. The Knicks had a great opportunity to really win that game. They had good looks at towards the end of the game, but it just didn't pan out that way. If we take a look with the New York Knicks and how they kind of had their season go, not their season, but this game go, it was pretty. You could see that the Knicks bench has definitely been a question. It's been a question all season. Um, Cam Payne and Mitchell Robinson, McBride, he's a real fan favorite. Landry Shamet, he's been in the league for a while, but other than those four guys combining for what, 18, 16, less than 40 minutes between four guys, the bench isn't really playing, and like I had said in the previous video, um, rotation shrink when the playoffs come, and you could clearly see. And this is also a testament to the Tom Thibodeau style of things. We saw it back in Chicago, we saw it in Minnesota. He rides his starters. I've never been a big fan of that whole mindset and game plan, but the Knicks' depth is basically coming into question. The Karl Anthony Towns move was good. They traded Randall for him, and that didn't have any impact on the necessary roster reconstruction. But I think it did. It didn't really play too much in the reconstruction of things. It just kind of limited their flexibility in terms of cap space and all that. But we'll get into that as the season comes to an end. All right. So with the Knicks, we could see that Mikal Bridges 20.7 for 13 shooting, 50% from the 3-point line. He had a pretty decent game, 20.7 rebounds, 3 assists with 3 steals, 2 blocks, 3 turnovers. Didn't really foul like that. Got a little outscored a little bit on the floor, but the plus minus, if we went into the advanced stats, I'm sure we can find that he had some impact on the game. OG Anunoby, again, he's been just the turnkey, just versatile Swiss Army knife that they've been needing. Again, he knows how to get to his shots. 17 shots, 22 points on 17 shots. I like his aggressiveness here. 22 points. You love to see that. Karl Anthony Towns is really, really what we should be honing in on right now. Obviously, with Karl Anthony Towns, he had a bounce back game after just playing really bad, and it is what it is. Jalen Brunson, he's that dog. They combined for 61, and then add 22, add another 42 and 61. They scored 100 together alone. Josh Hart, he had 11 rebounds, 6 points. He's going to be out there playing defense. He's going to be out there covering their best guys. He only took 1 3. He only took 7 shots. So, it was just a more of an attack from the starters. Let's go ahead and talk about Detroit really fast. Detroit, again, it's the same conversation that we're kind of having. They're it's just their inexperience, and Cade Cunningham, again, when you take 25 shots to get 24 points, again, I'm going to keep saying this, it's inefficient. It's not efficient basketball. Jalen Duren, I really like what I see out here. I think a lot of teams are going to be keeping their eyes on him. He's a solid big man. He has good size. He has good instincts. I think teams will definitely try to look into picking him up in either through a trade or some type, or looking to see if he's going to be a free agent. We saw Tim Hardaway Jr. He was adding a little bit of chippiness to it. Former Knick, if I'm not mistaken. I believe he had a tenure in New York. Asar with only 7. He only took 3 shots, but you could see that he was more on the defensive side of things, and he had 4 fouls coming in. Only 3 shots. Again, like I said, it's not a winning formula there. We need to talk about Dennis Schroeder coming off the bench. Besides Cade Cunningham for the guards, and obviously Malik Beasley, I don't see a lot of stuff coming from the guard position here. Their bigs are good, but I think New York, the score is a little misleading. There was the whole controversy with the backcourt violation with Jalen Brunson, but I don't think that takes away from the fact that I hate when people bank on the refs. The refs, one call didn't lose them the game. It's the fact that how many rebounds did they have overall? 43-40. Not really an advantage there. You could see that they hit more threes than they did. They even got up the same amount of shots, but it really can't. And you could clearly see it came down to one shot, one possession. Quite frankly speaking, I think New York kind of snuck out of that game. If there was more time, obviously the Knicks went on their run. Detroit answered back. But New York knew how to take a punch there, and I don't know. It's not looking too promising. Again, Detroit is on their back heels again. Isaiah Stewart, he didn't really get to play that game. And while I understand he's not like he's not like a top 5 big in the NBA, but his presence is definitely felt. So, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. His presence is felt. It's not good for the Pistons, but it's good for the Knicks. And let's see where we can close this out on. My takeaway is that, again, I still didn't see that double-digit victory from New York. I'm anticipating that tonight. Not tonight, whenever their next game is, April 27th. If I don't see a double-digit victory from them, again, I'm raising my alarm. If I'm in the front office, I'm like, yo, guys, we need to talk. And then, obviously, this is a 2-part job. They have the double-digit win at, what's it called? Double-digit victory in Detroit, and then when they come back to the Garden, I want to see a double-digit victory at home as well. Hopefully closing things out. I know Detroit is not a team that you can really sleep on, but I think New York could really close it out, and I know they would love to close the series out in New York on April 29th. So let's go ahead and see what they do. But that's kind of what my take is. I think New York they need to squeeze out a victory, and they need to win by double digits the next time they play. That's the only way I'm going to respect this run. If not, I see them losing in the second round to Boston. And not that Boston is also great, but it's just the matchups. Again, it's all about matchups, So let's go ahead and see what we do. All right. Next on the slate was Oklahoma City versus Memphis. And guys, I'm going to be the one to say it. This series is boring. Okay, the series is boring, and it's not the Memphis Grizzlies' fault. It is their fault, but not in the way of like, oh my god, but more like, again, this roster. I've said this on record before. Their roster was just never deep enough to go to the finals, in my opinion. And it's starting to show. They played in for the 8th seed, and I had said that whoever got the 8th seed, it did not matter. They were going to get whopped. It could have been Golden State. It could have been Memphis. It could have been Dallas. It could have been Sacramento. Whoever went against Oklahoma City in the first round was getting their teeth knocked out. And we are clearly seeing Memphis, not only their teeth, but their hips are falling off. They might need a hip replacement. It's getting kind of drastic out there. We saw the Thunder were down 29. 29, yes, let me repeat that. 29. Ja Morant literally goes down from Lou Dort. Look, I don't do the intentional, not intentional talk. It's just like, you're at risk of getting hurt when you step foot on the court. That's just, how it goes. I know Lou Dort, it didn't really look like he wanted to bridge him like that. And it's just a tough thing to see, obviously. You really don't want to see players get hurt, but it's just the unfortunate reality of it. Scotty Barnes has had a great season for Memphis, and he's definitely, I would say, stepping up in the sense like for the guards, like Ja Morant's hurt, so it's like, hey, you're literally next up. But yeah, I mean, we need to get to the conversation at hand, and the conversation is really that Oklahoma City is the favorite to come out of the Western Conference and win the NBA Finals. On my last video, shout out Danny, I saw that Thunder in 6. I don't know if you meant that for the finals. I don't know if you meant that for against whoever, but it's looking very strong. This team is that whole Paul George, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander trade was monumental in their history. I know Kevin Durant, Westbrook, Harden, but this is just like a rebuild. Like this is gonna go in the NBA textbook for GMs in the future of how to build a franchise, leveraging the greediness and the win now mentality of a lot of teams. But with that, let's go ahead and take a look at this game in specific. Again, Ja Morant, he had 15 going in. He only played 16 minutes. He literally got hurt. And it was a momentum swing, honestly. Momentum swing right as he got hurt. And we just saw Memphis not able to recover. We got to give Oklahoma City their credit, though. Chet Holmgren, he balled out with 24 and 8. Only one turnover. Like that, again, that's just 50% shooting from 3, 50 from deep. Like, those are great numbers over there. Jalen Williams, he's definitely been that experiment that the Oklahoma City Thunder have definitely won with. I really like his game. I really like his length in terms of like wing defender. He hit two threes, 9 for 16 for 26. I mean, getting to the free throw line, it's just what you want to really see. Again, Hartenstein, he's their defense. He had 4 personal fouls, but he's out there playing defense. And again, these are certain players that they just don't. A lot of the things that happen to them or the things they impact on the court, you're not gonna see on the box score. Again, Shea, he's a shot hunter kind of guy. He took 9 free throws, 26 shots for 31 points. That could have been a little bit more efficient, but it's the aggressiveness you need. Like, he does not shy away from shooting the ball. Like, he's gonna shoot the ball. And the Lu Dort, I know it's like he's a little like infamous right now for the bridge on Ja Morant, but I don't really blame him for that. It wasn't really the best game for him. 35 minutes on only 2 points on 0% from the field, no free throws. He hit 0 threes, no free throws. He hit 1 field goal. But he was playing some good defense out there. As you can see his numbers on the floor, he did have some effectiveness. Caruso and Isaiah Joe with 10 off the bench each. It was just the starters handled business. And we need to look at Jaren Jackson. I don't want to speak for players, but he's really good. I think he should definitely look into the open market, see what he could get out there. Desmond Baines has been, he has a good 3-point shot, 2 for 11, not the best game for him. Scotty Barnes, again, he was literally doing everything he could, 50% shooting from the field. He literally hit 6 threes, but it's just not enough. And yeah, it's just, I think Memphis, their season is over. I think it's time for them to start rethinking about their long-term strategy here, but I think they're done here. I think they're Memphis might have again. I think their season is coming to a close, and I don't see them pulling back out from a 3-0 lead. It's never happened, ever. So I don't know. I think that's it for them. We'll see. All right. Next on the slate was the Denver Nuggets and Los Angeles Clippers. Now, this series was definitely going to be one for the storybooks. It's definitely a well-balanced matchup between all these teams. And I don't know, like Denver, there was not much scoring coming off the bench, as we could clearly see. Russell Westbrook, he played 9 minutes, but in his 9 minutes, him and Peyton Watson, these box minuses are insane. Like minus 29 in 18 minutes too. It's not like he just came in. No, like he was on the floor and he was not effective. Westbrook, he went 1 for 5, all threes, and he left the game with inflammation. And again, it's just tough. I really don't see the Nuggets. They shot 27% from the 3-point line, under like barely over 40%. It's just not. how many turnovers? 16 turnovers versus how many turnovers? 10. Like, you can't give up six turnovers, shooting 27% from the 3-point line. It's just not going to happen. Your coach, it's just not going to sit well. The starters, I don't really know. Again, Jokic, he had 23. No, he had 23, 13, and 13. But it's just like, I don't want to say those stats are empty, but they're empty in this game. Like 13 assists, but it's like you put the ball in 31 times. Like I don't understand. Like, you telling me you got out of 31 buckets, he has assisted on 13 of them? How the hell are we supposed to win any games? And then we'll take a look. He's the only player with assists. So it's kind of what it looked like to me. It was Nikola Jokic had a bad game, and the thing about Nikola Jokic is that in my opinion, when I look at him play, he's a floor raiser. And what that means is he makes players better by just making them play simple, efficient basketball. Now, it's when Michael Porter Jr. only has 7 points with 2 for 9 shooting. When Christian Braun is not cutting and slashing and making layups, and they adjust for that, it's things are gonna get tough. Again, Peyton Watson, you came out on the floor 4 shots, 18 minutes. It's not going to work. Westbrook 1 for 5. It's not going to work. So that, I don't know. Obviously, Denver is not a bad team. And I think the Denver scare show is just like, no. What I think needs to be reevaluated is that this isn't about don't worry about the Nuggets being bad. I think you need to be more worried that the Clippers are good. I know they had their Paul George, but this is a different team. It's less falling when the lights are bright. It's less about egos and things like that. And it's more about efficient play. And Kawhi Leonard and James Harden are really just a good duo together. Let's go ahead and they played the whole lineup. Like, once they got certain players in, and they were, after halftime, the lead was just like insurmountable almost. Again, Kawhi with 21, 7 for 17 with 11 rebounds, 6 assists. That's a pretty good stat line to me. Zubac and Harden is like a dangerous duo. You can clearly see that Harden had, how many assists? James Harden had about 9 assists, and if we can go and look at the math and see how many of those assists were coming off of Zubac pick and rolls and Zubac lobs, they're a good duo together. Again, I've praised Norman Powell. He has a good playing style, jump shots there, high flyer. He's got it all. He got the my player build. And Chris Dunn, he's been surprising a lot of players. He'll have 6 or 8 on this starting lineup, and while it's a 6 or 8, it's allowed 6 and 8. It's an effective 6 and 8. It's a important 6 and 8. Those buckets came in timely manners, and 4 threes from Batum off the bench. Like, again, he's always been a great 3-point shooter. Shout out to the Frenchman. Derrick Jones Jr. again spotting up for 3. Like, everything was firing all cylinders, but again, it just seemed 27%. I don't see Denver doing that again. I think the Nuggets should be worried because this problem is a lot bigger than just a series. I think this has long-lasting effects, seeing that you just got rid of your GM and you just got rid of your head coach. So we'll see where they go from them. Denver seems to be like scrapping back for that identity. And don't get it twisted. I think Jokic is great, but they need more depth on this roster, and it's very clear. Westbrook was a great addition coming in because it was just like he came off a bad couple years where it was just like trying to figure himself out. He came back to the Clippers. He had a great run with them, and that's kind of what revitalized teams giving him a chance. And now he's with Denver. It was a great pickup at first. It's not as bad anymore. We'll see. They'll have a bad game, but this is the playoffs. There's no bad games in the playoffs. So we'll see what they have going on. Again, let's really just take one real quick look. Almost 46% from 3. They hit 9 more shots than they did 8. Like, they hit 12 more threes, right? 11 more threes. It's insane. The rebound battle was pretty evident. They had a +10 advantage there. They were just generating more offense. Again, Denver was just nowhere to be found. I don't even Nikola Jokic is the only one that hit 9 for 14, but look at these numbers: 2 for 9, like 1 for 5, not efficient at all, like not winning caliber basketball. So Denver's got to go back to the drawing board. I think I like when teams get too confident, because when you usually see in these series, teams come back and just give a super mean uppercut to these kind of things. So let's see how Denver counters this. They're definitely not out. I think they do have something to be worried about, but they're definitely not out yet. So let's see how they hold the fort, and let's see what they do for Game 4. All right. Next on the agenda is Boston versus Orlando. In this series, I said that Boston was definitely taking this in 5 or 6, and it's panning out that way. I don't know. Boston versus Orlando has always been a funny series. Boston, to me, while they are the reigning champions, they just seem beatable to me. I just don't think that they're like the scariest team that you need to be like, oh my God, we're gonna face Boston. Even Cleveland, I don't even think teams should feel that way about. These teams are what you call beatable. They're not like scary. They have their weaknesses. I think Cleveland, in terms of roster construction, they try to make themselves look unbeatable. They have the defensive player in the year in Evan Mobley. Jared Allen is always roaming around. They got bigs, they got guards, they got wings. They have literally everything you need. Like, the only thing that would not allow them to advance is injury or meltdowns, and meltdowns are very, very possible. But Donovan Mitchell, he's been very hungry the last couple of years. He had to face New York back-to-back years in the playoffs, and he's been knocked off by them. But I just think this Cleveland team is a lot better than those two versions of the Cleveland team, and I think it's their due time to show dominance in the Eastern Conference. So, again, I think Boston has their work cut out for them. They're a good coach. They're a good team. They've historically been great, but it's a lot going on in that conference, and the tides are changing. The tides are definitely shifting. Let's go ahead and take a look at Game 3 and see what really went down. It was a close match. I mean, low scoring. We could take a look. Shooting percentages are pretty bad. The Boston Celtics and the Orlando Magic shot pretty poorly. Orlando got more shots than Boston. That's something to pay attention to. In a 2-point win, I think it kind of seemed like Orlando got off to a... It was kind of funny because Boston got off into a lead, but after the third quarter, you seen Orlando kind of run away with it at the end, and it kind of felt like at home, it felt like they snuck a game from them. You know what I'm saying? It's just weird. You have Banchero playing 42 minutes again. That 40% from the field, but hitting 29 shots, 10 for 25. I'm not a fan of those numbers. 2 for 4 from 3. He was getting to the free throw line. He was being aggressive. Franz Wagner. If you go back to my play-in prediction video, you could see that these two guys were the main guys I said to be a factor. I'm sure anybody with a brain would have thought that. Wendell Carter, I really like him. Another player that teams should pay attention to, and pay attention to him being moved around in the offseason. Corey Joseph, he's always a pleasure to watch with 6. And then some scoring off the bench with Anthony Black and Cole Anthony. But if you really see the score, I'm not sold that the Orlando Magic won this game. I'm just not sold on that. And the reason I'm not sold on that is because they only won by 2 points, but yet they took, almost 9 more shots than they did. They took, 5 more threes than they did, but made less. You know what I mean? It's just so strange. They got to the free throw line more, but why only a 2-point victory? You should be asking yourself that. 23 fouls. You know what I'm saying? 13 turnovers. It's just what really went wrong, and it looks more like Orlando was just holding on tight for the series to be over, or that game to be over, I should say. Pardon me. Again, you see some balance. Jason Tatum with 36, 4 threes, 12 free throws. You know what I'm saying? Kristaps Porzingis, he played really bad. 3 for 10, no threes, 1 free throw, 4 fouls, multiple turnovers. Not really. He has minus 16. Him on the floor was just ineffective. It's and it's very obvious. How did Franz Wagner and Banchero combine for over 60? And we can take a look. Everybody else was doing good. Kristaps Porzingis, if he had a really, really, really bad game. and it's just insane. It's just insane. It's just insane. I am not shocked that the Magic took a game, but I'm more excited that the series is going to be a little bit more competitive. I'm giving a gentleman's sweep. I can see, or maybe Orlando sneaking one more, maybe in the Garden. But other than that, I think, again, like the Memphis Grizzlies, they should be looking towards the offseason and how to make their team a better team and the moves that they need to eventually make. Um, because this is, I mean, they're historically been a very, not historically, this season has just been very bad for 3-point shooting. They're very defensive minded, and I just don't see that cutting the chase. I just don't see that. So we'll see what they do. It says they play the 27th, which, if I'm not mistaken, is Monday or Sunday. I think it's Sunday. But it doesn't matter. Again, they have another game in Orlando, and we'll see how they respond. I expect a big game from Jaylen Brown. He had 19, but I expect maybe like a 25-point game from him. We'll give it a look and we'll see. But yeah, again, Boston is they're a great team. They can definitely handle Orlando. They should be looking for into the next series, and just see what matchups they can go. They have a pretty good roster. Drew Holiday wasn't able to play with a hamstring strain, but we'll see. We'll see what their game plan is. But I think they should be very excited in round two when they eventually make their way over. All right, now Indiana versus Milwaukee. Again, another interesting series. It's just been rather confusing. I had a conversation with one of my colleagues, and we both agreed this is a confusing series. It's confusing because it's just like you wouldn't expect Indiana to have the Milwaukee Bucks number like this, but they do, and they're up 2-1. Milwaukee won a game, so we got to give them their flowers, and we definitely got to give flowers to Gary Trent Jr. He literally tied the franchise record, 9 threes. He dropped 37. Him and Giannis both had 37. It's insane. It's pretty wild. Indiana, again, I had mentioned that Pascal Siakam was going to be that X factor. I think he's had over 20 points every single game since the series has started. Aaron Naismith, he's definitely always good, 7 for 13. But again, Gary Trent and Giannis having 30, but Damian Lillard only having 7 it's very interesting. Kyle Kuzma with 9, not a bad game for him. Not the best game either. Brook Lopez with a donut, 15 minutes of play, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, nothing too incredible there. AJ Green was definitely lighting it up, 4 threes off the bench. We love to see stats like that. Bobby Portis with 15, no, not 15. He had 10 with a few blocks. He had 8 rebounds, so he definitely had a decent game. I think Milwaukee definitely, they came to play. I know they were in. They dropped a few games in. No, Indiana had taken the 4 seed, so they were in Milwaukee. First game back at home. It's a pretty good way to start the home series. They play again on the 27th. But yeah, I think Damian Lillard having 7, don't expect that. 2 for 12 shooting, don't expect that from him again. And can we have a serious conversation about Damian Lillard right now? Damian Lillard, we all know he's definitely like, if there was no Steph Curry in the Western Conference, Damian Lillard would definitely have his way when he was back in Portland. But let's get to the conversation at hand here. The conversation at hand is that, how did Damian Lillard get cleared to play so fast? We heard that he had the blood clot injuries. I'm not trying to get into people's medical stuff. I'm not a doctor. I don't do the medical side of sports. But what I am questioning is, hey, you shut down Wembanyama for this. Chris Bosh's career ended because of these things. And now you're telling me that Damian Lillard got blood clots and that he was back to play 3 weeks later? I'm very, very concerned about that, and I really hope this isn't shortening his prime. So that's something to pay attention to. Those are the guys, they were shut down for seasons, and they literally were like, "Oh, you can't play." But yet Damian Lillard is trying to play versus with the same condition or similar condition. So it's definitely something to pay attention to. Shout out to Gary Trent for the 37 bomb. Indiana will definitely game plan for that. And then we see Miles Turner. He was held in check for only what? He only hit 1 for 9 shooting. Tyrese Halliburton, the 14 he had was good, but again with a little inefficiency. He had 4 threes though, but he also did have he actually had 14 and 10 with 7 rebounds. But while that's it's a good stat line, it's just not enough. You need more firepower, and that definitely would have been Miles Turner if he had given in an extra maybe 6 or 7 points. Nembhard, he's usually a decent scorer. And McConnell off the bench, he's usually great firepower, but he went 0 for 4. So, again, this has definitely been one of the more slug match kind of series, but I still have Indiana taking one. I don't know. It's just, I think Milwaukee's very game plannable. You can game plan for them, and I don't really see them. I can see them losing it here. It's definitely going to be tough, but I think Indiana can definitely squeeze one out here. Right. All right. Next is Los Angeles versus Minnesota. Another series that we've been keeping our eyes on. It's been very intense. The Lakers dropped game 1, and they picked it up game 2. Timberwolves went on and won game 3. Now let's go ahead and take a look at what we're seeing here. Again, it's LeBron is LeBron James. He had 5 threes, 7. He literally had 7 free throws, 10 rebounds with 4 assists, 38 points. Typical LeBron James stat line. With Jackson Hayes only scoring 2 points, 1 for 2 shooting. He only did play 9 minutes, so that's something to pay attention to. I kind of want to do my research real fast. Like, did he get hurt? Jackson Hayes, is he hurt? Because only playing 9 minutes is a little questionable. And we saw those minutes go to Dorian Finney-Smith, so we'll go ahead and take a look. All right, after doing my research, yes, Jackson Hayes is not injured, and in fact, it was a coaching decision to bench him. I went ahead and did some reading on the Laker Reddit, and it just appears that the Lakers fans are kind of fed up with him in this series. He's been ineffective, and they definitely been. As you can clearly see, they've been swapping the minutes for Dorian Finney-Smith. So something to pay attention to. We have Luka Doncic, who with 17, there were reports that he was dealing with a stomach bug. Nonetheless, he shot 6 for 16, 2 for 8 from the 3-point line with 17 points. Definitely not one of his best games, and it just shows this Lakers team is just very top heavy. It's just very strange. Gabe Vincent off the bench with 5 points. It's just their bench is not deep enough, and Luka and LeBron are a great tandem. It's just with Austin Reeves giving 20. But it's just not enough firepower, and when the Minnesota Timberwolves are playing as a team and just has their head on the right swivel, it just seems like it's there. Jaden McDaniels had a breakout night in terms of his playoff career. It's one of his best playoff games, not only playoff games but NBA games in his career. Julius Randle had one of his good games as well. 22 points with 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Just efficient basketball. 6 for 13. A little bit under 50%, but he's definitely hitting his shots. Rudy Gobert, while he only had 1 point. Again, he's very effective defensive end of things. In fact, it's actually kind of funny. His plus minus is only 3, and he only played 25 minutes, so it's something to pay attention to. He was my X factor going into this series. His first game, he was rather dominant. The last couple games, he has not really showed out, but again, he's another player where his stats don't really show up on the box score. It's more of his impact on the court. Mike Conley, again, just someone to pay attention to. He played All-Star level basketball when he was in, I believe, Utah was the last time he was an All-Star, but I have not really seen much from him in the last couple years. He's definitely a good starting point guard for your team, but we'll take a look and see. Anthony Edwards, he's just been on a heater, man. 26 shots for 29 points. Again, not the best efficiency, not really getting to the free throw line like that, but he's a bona fide scorer. You can never count Naz Reid out, and Dante DiVincenzo, he's a great fit for any team. He's just gonna work hard and play really good. So, it's just something to pay attention to. Again, Minnesota, they're not they're not in the clear yet because the Lakers are still pretty dominant. Again, something to pay attention to as well is that the Lakers, this is their first time cracking 100 points in the series, and even when they did crack 100 points, they lost. So we need to pay attention to that. Lakers are having a hard time scoring, and their defense is, the Minnesota Timberwolves, that is, their defense is definitely affecting the Lakers. Again, when they crack 100, they can't win, and it's more of like a defensive thing. So for the Lakers to really beat the Timberwolves, they have to hone more in on their defensive side of the ball. And we know with Luka Doncic that defense is not his go-to, is not his forte. So they need to pay attention to that stuff, or else you'll have Randall, McDaniels, and Edwards combining for over 70 points on you. So it's just the way it goes. Or not even 70, because 20, 22, 29, that's what they're 51. They combine for 80. So when they combine for 80, LeBron and Luka is 17 and 38 it's not enough. Their 60 something is not enough. So, or 50 points is not enough. Austin Reeves, it's not enough. Reed and DiVincenzo, they came to close the book, and when those two guys are locked in, with the starters playing good, it's very hard for any team to beat them. So let's go ahead and move on to the next series. All right, the penultimate matchup for Game 3. We saw Cleveland versus Miami, and I think the sentiment is honestly that Miami's cooked. How do you cook food? Over the heat. So Miami's cooked, and here's why I say Miami's cooked. I say Miami's cooked because they came out swinging. They really came out the game ready to ball out and at home, and after that, Cleveland it was over after that. Cleveland kind of like went on this deep run, and points in the paint was just a big story of concern there. Like Evan Mobley had 19 points, 6 rebounds. Jared Allen 22. Like Donovan Mitchell didn't play well. He shot 4 for 14. He did hit he hit 3 threes, but come on, like 13 points. He's a bona fide 25, 30-point scorer. Max Strus, he hit 4 threes, 7 for 13, scoring for 18. That's amazing. With 5 assists and 9 rebounds. So it's like Max Strus had himself a game. Dean Wade. I always think it's funny because I always think they say Dwayne Wade, but not really much from him. 22 minutes off the bench, but plus minus 19. So he was definitely out there playing some good defense. Only 1 foul. He was doing his thing. DeAndre Hunter, the pick that again, my colleagues and I, when we speak, this is one of those trades that we felt that they told me that they felt was slept on, and I 1,000% agreed. I feel like DeAndre Hunter is definitely a floor raiser for this Cleveland team, and they're just deep. They're just a deep team. They have everything. 13 from Ty Jerome off the bench as well, and it was just Miami came out ready to dominate. If we go ahead and take a look at Miami, they got out rebounded. What's that? That's 46-29. Miami just could not grab the ball. Bam Adebayo with 9, but that's how he is with 22. I saw him. Evan Mobley and Jared Allen were giving him a hard time. Davion Mitchell was definitely some bright spot there. Tyler Hero not as good of a game, 5 for 13. And that's about it. Once the scoring kind of came off of that, Andrew Wiggins was a little bit ineffective as well. Duncan Robinson is not the same as the finals run where, again, this is a conversation I've been meaning to have for a long time. Players who have those brief little stunts where they're like, oh my God, and then they get those big contracts. It's not the contract that I want to have the conversation about. It's the, my thing is that Duncan Robinson, for example, you had that breakout season where you went to the finals with Jimmy Butler. We're not going to add Jimmy Butler to your style, your level of play. We're not going to include him in that yet. What I do want to make or talk about is that teams have film on you now. There is a case study against you. There's a scouting report. These players don't evolve their games unless you're like Klay Thompson, who's like a generational shooter, catch and shoot guy. You got to learn to put the ball on the floor, and you got to learn to be more effective On the court, 18 minutes for only 6 points. You took one shot, you made it, but other than that, like, it's pretty ineffective. Like, 2 fouls for 6 points, and it's just you need more than that. And they've definitely have their number. Again, Cleveland, they've been consistently around this 120 mark. In Miami, this was their worst game to date at home. I think this series might as well be packed up as well. Miami had a great run. Again, they were my pick coming out of the play-in, but they are not deep enough and they are not experienced enough. And the Jimmy Butler trade, I think Jimmy Butler kind of sabotaged their season a little bit. And not, of course, you have to think about this from your own perspective and your own point of view. Like, if I'm Jimmy Butler and the team, if they're not, first of all, if you go into the season, you're not extended, that's a problem. And I understand why Jimmy Butler was upset. Do I agree with how he went about his situation in Miami? No. He ostracized himself and he put himself to be like this like diva cancer kind of guy for the Heat, and we could see that it caused him a little bit of frustration. Andrew Wiggins, he's no Jimmy Butler, and even though he was a number 1 overall pick, and it's so funny to say because Jimmy Butler was literally the last pick in the draft. Andrew Wiggins is number 1, and we just see how their careers are so vastly different. They were even teammates before, so it's just something that it just speaks a lot about Jimmy Butler and his level of play. Back to the Miami Heat of now. They've got to go to the drawing board. I don't know if Pat Riley should consider stepping down as the GM or president of operations or owner, or he can always be an owner, but I don't know if he should be involved in the basketball anymore. I'm going to set the disclaimer now. Pat Riley is basketball history. He is Lakers history. He is Miami history. He is a part of the NBA. Almost so it looks almost mafioso in a way, kind of like, like the mob, but a little bit. But enough of that. I don't know if Miami should consider doing that, but we'll have a whole video dedicated to talking about Miami and their future coming up. But I think they should expect a sweep. Cleveland is very deep, and expect whoever's coming out of that Indiana, or is that how the bracket is? I'll take a look. But their next opponent, just know that Cleveland, they're in store for them. I think New York will face Boston if they win, or Orlando, winner of that. We know it's going to be Boston, but we don't count anybody out. But Cleveland will most likely play Indiana or Milwaukee. Both teams I think that they can take. I think they're even in the same division as well, so they see each other 4 times a year. But yeah, I think Miami and Cleveland is coming to a close. Cleveland with the sweep, they can pull the sweep off. And yeah, like in my prediction as well, I said whoever came out of the 8th seed will be they won't make it past that round, and it's in fruition. So we'll go ahead and keep an eye on that. But this Cleveland series, I think, is officially packed up. All right, and with that, I actually waited until the very end of the Golden State Houston Rockets game, and I am, that was the final game of Game 3. So I know some Game 4s had started today, but there were also the final Game 3. So I thought, why not just wait up and just watch the final game and kind of just jump into it later and just add my commentary. All right, so Warriors versus Rockets. This was a huge win for the Golden State Warriors. They went up 2-1 in the series, winning a game at home, especially with Jimmy Butler being out. It was definitely a hard-fought match. It was definitely a slug match. It was definitely competitive to the very end until about the second half. That's when things kind of broke out for Golden State. Definitely a hard-fought win. I felt like Steph had a little bit of a hard time getting it going in the first half. And in the second half, he just came out and was amazing. He was unstoppable. I think Gary Payton also had a great game. Buddy Hield as well off the bench. Hitting some big shots. Jonathan Kuminga in the starting role. He definitely had some moments and some I don't know, just the limited reps is definitely getting and it's showing in his game. I think there were some moments that he showed some good flashes though, and I don't think he's unplayable. I think he's just trying to figure out what role he really fits in for this team. So we'll see what he does moving forward. And yeah, let's take a look at the Houston Rockets. Fred VanVleet with 17, but with 5 for 14 shooting. 3 big threes, but it was he had a pretty, I don't know. It wasn't a really good game for him. Just not a lot of scoring. The defense was kind of there. Like Golden State took 4 more shots than they did. It was, I don't know. This was a statement game, and I think this game says a lot about the team, and I think, like I said, I think Golden State could definitely take these guys in about 7. I would say 7 if Houston could get their act together. If Jimmy Butler has some time to come back, we'll see what Game 4 looks like. If Jimmy Butler comes back, and if this is what the Warriors could do without Jimmy Butler, then just adding him would just raise the floor. And I don't know. It seems like Golden State has the game plan set out for them. And Houston's inexperience is definitely starting to show. So we'll definitely see what it looks like in Game 4. I don't know. Their Game 4 is on the 28th, so they don't play for a few days. But we'll see. We'll see in the Game 4. Game 4 is going to be electric. It's already off to a great start, so we'll definitely be excited for the next video. But with that, I want to thank you guys so much for joining the Wave, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.